Hello. Look, welcome back. It's another episode of Stag. Right, okay. It's going to be a good one, this one, I think. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, give me a dirty Smurfy hand thumbs up. And if you don't, and you can't turn it off, then fill your boots. If you want to contact me, Church House Classics, it's all a one word at gmail.com. I do respond to your emails. It might take me a couple of days or so. I do try and spend, a good few hours, a couple of times a week, really just responding to all of the questions that come in. So just bear with me. I will get back to you. If you want to comment on the video, down below the video, there is a way of commenting on your telly. My mate Adrian, hello Adrian, tells me you can do this. But I haven't figured it out, and I don't watch it on the telly anyway. I don't know if that's going to help you or not. If you want to subscribe, it helps the old algorithms. And if you fancy buying me a pint, because I make you laugh, or I fixed a problem for you, or I just entertain, or I've helped you in any way, then there's a PayPal me thing strolling along the bottom here. That's it. 1 minute and 11 seconds. End. Enjoy the video.
It looks a bit dramatic, but it's actually not. So what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to investigate why the dashboard lights are woefully awful on this thing. The customer had told me about it. The light down here, the automatic gearbox control, that's nice and bright. Everything else on the dash is really dim. So undo 3 bolts, and the steering column drops down. Then you undo 4 screws, and the whole of the dash assembly just comes forwards. 3/4 nut, which you can see someone's been here before, and then you find, oh, for fuck's sake, really? Why? So yeah, it looks like someone's probably had this problem before, or experienced this problem before. I don't know what that brown one's, sorry, the purple one there's for. I mean, in theory, you can unplug the entire dash by pulling these grey connectors apart, undoing the speedo cable, disconnecting the trip cable from the bottom of the dash down there, and the whole dash assembly comes out. First of all, right, next we'll take the bulb out of the clock. In fact, are these bulbs all fucked? That's the first bulb I've actually taken out. Bulb looks a bit fucked on that one, because it's started to go black. Now, it's still brighter than perhaps I would have expected. So that appears to be working okay. Weird, isn't it? Well, it's certainly brighter than it was. Well, we just need to get an earth onto this. Bulb looks okay. Sometimes what happens is these things, they get a little bit temperamental inside. I'll show you in a second. Off, bright. Actually works a damn sight better than the one in my car does. Well, maybe because I've disturbed something, it started pissing working. Whoops, keep your coffee over. Let's go and turn the light on. Shut the door. Now I can't see a pissing thing. Guaranteed to trip over something here, folks. Watch this. Right, what have we got? No, that's too dim. Right, lights. Didn't have that falling over anything. Pretty impressive, isn't it? Lights off. I need to, speedo cable needs to come off, and I've got a separate problem with the speedo. Oh, fucking cable won't come off for a starter. Yes it will. The speedo dances around all over the shop up to a certain speed and then settles. So we can have a look at the cable in a second and see what's going on there. Right, there's no oil on the end of the cable, which is good news. We'll disconnect these multi-connectors up here. So, what the fuck you? That was silly. Let me just go and disconnect the battery, Richard. Probably just blown all the fucking fuses now. Yes, disconnect the battery before you do this, chaps. Right, the ignition wasn't on, so that can only have been power. It was that one, wasn't it? Well, if I've blown a fuse, I've blown a fuse. Right, now this one. And then we've got the little trip wire. Which doesn't want to come off for some reason. As it's always the fucking case. And it's going to cock you around. It'll be the last fixing, won't it? Balance you up there again. I don't want to damage the wood. Right, poultry has also been taken up. What am I doing with all my stuff today? Right, let's torchy. Right, what I want to do is look and find out why that's not releasing. It will release, I think. There it goes. It's a little screw on the back of it. I can come forwards again with the loom and with the electric cable. And then there's only one more thing I need to undo. I'll put that back on there just in case I lose it. And I just need to undo this flat blade here, which holds the heater or blower, fresh air vent onto the come on. And then the whole dash assembly comes out and onto my piece of cardboard out here. Back of the speedo head, back of the tacho. Not the tacho belt, this funny little thing here. It's a DC King. Is that what it says? No. 150 volt DC Mark III. Any ideas, anyone? Comes off the voltage stabiliser and then earths. Oh, I do like a brown tag. There we go, part number for it. Factory part numbers. It's always fun finding stuff like that. Now, what we've basically got here, that's the back of the cheese. We'll just take that off for a second. If I balance you up there, just stand up there and see what's going on. This chunk comes off the back of the cheese. And we've got bulbs, God knows what that is. Earth wire, that's good. What I was going to show you, when these bulbs come out, in fact there is no shield in there. Now, on the Mark II instruments, inside here is like a green bubble, and they always end up full of dust. However, on this, we haven't got that. So what we need to do really is find out why it is we are getting such poor voltage through this. So I can put the vomiter first of all on the, I don't actually need to take this thing off. I'll put this thing back on. That's gone back on. There's some dubious wires in here. Oh, for fuck's sake. Why? things like that. It's a brown and a purple wire. Probably going to be an ignition switch. Ignition light, I would say. And it has got a solder connection at least. Why it hasn't got shrink wrap over it, I don't know. Might be picked that one up. But yeah, once it's all apart, just take that crap off there. Yeah, just soldered a bit of extra cable in there. For some reason, shits and giggles, I am sure. I think the other thing I wanted to undo was this bit here, this parcel of joy. So find out what on earth is going on in here. I mean, yes, it has all been soldered. So I suppose that's a good thing. What I probably want to do is to connect this light across the battery and then see what on earth is going on here. Now, red and black comes in on this connector here, because the other thing I'm inclined to do, these styler connectors, come in a bit closer, these styler connectors, I've had problems with these on the Range Rover, on the A suffix that I did. We'll just move you over there a little bit, just make sure we've got nothing underneath the instrument panel. Don't want you scratching wood, Richard. I'm not sure if that's a Finara or not. I'll let you decide on that. Now, what I find is these bullets here go into those slots there, and for some reason I've had problems with them before, so I just open them all out a little bit. And then the other thing I'll do is I'll squirt them with every one of these I'll squirt with a bit of electrical cleaner, make sure we're getting good contacts, and put them back together again. Because I'm pretty sure that this age of electrical wizardry is never going to improve. Now, that's a quick update. So what I've done, double check the connectors here to the variable resistor, which I think are now working. I have remade the two earth connectors up to the backs of the two main instruments, and I have onto the loom connected onto the earth circuit and connected onto the red and black circuit. So let's pop you here. Let's go and turn the light on. I could do it with an assailant really to turn the lights on and off for me. Right, now let's go and find the variable resistor. Right. Right, okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bridge the two wires on the variable resistor. Should be able to do that with a pin or something. No, that'll do. We'll see if it goes brighter. Can't say it does really. Let's just pull these up a little bit so I can actually get some purchase on it. And all I'm doing is just yeah, I don't think it's very satisfactory really, is it? I mean, that's its dimmest setting, and it actually looks like the tacho's gone off completely at that point. So I'm going to fiddle around with bulbs. Right, lights. What is the bulb? See, that bulb's actually quite bright. If I look at that, that's hurting my eyes. Look at this one, when it's on. No. Dash lights is starting to get my tits actually, because you saw them working just now on the bench, and now we have got a situation whereby they're no longer working. So what I do is I've got a multimeter set up here, dirt cheap multimeter. You buy these for about a tenner. I'll just check a baseline. I've got an earth over here onto an earth point on the back of the wiper motor. I'll touch this on the positive terminal, and I am getting, with the lights on, 12 volts dead. Fine, battery needs a little bit of a charge, but that should be fine. 12 volts dead is my baseline. So then I go to the bottom of the ignition control fuse, and I am getting
11.97, so that's 0.3, oh, 11.98, 0.2 of a volt drop across the loop. Not bad, that's all right. And on the other side of the fuse, 11.98, which is okay. Okay, so I'm actually touching the fuse rather than the holder, because it actually just proves. Now, if I go to fuse number 4, which is pins 7 and 8, this is the headlight fuse. So on the live side, the unfused side, I'm getting 11.44. So that's half a volt, over half a volt dropped. And on the other side of the fuse, 11.43. So there's some dropped across that fuse. As I go along each of these fuses that will be live, some of them will be live, some of them obviously need the circuit engaged. We're down to 11.35, 11.3, so 0.7 volt drop. I mean, it might not seem absolutely catastrophic, but when we relocate to the inside of the vehicle, lights are still on, by the way. Oh, let's just get you in here. It's a bit darker in here, I'm sorry. I just have to deal with that, I'm afraid. Just got the camera mounted. I don't know if you can see that. Right, okay, so these are the two wires that go onto the back of the resistor. Now, if I had the remains of an old pop rivet, join these two together. Boom, boom, boom. There are the lights go on. That's brilliant. Find myself an earth. Actually, what I could do here for the earth is actually use the earth point on the back of the instrument, so it gives me a baseline again. As the earth point on the back of the instruments. And now see what sort of voltage we've got here, bearing in mind we were 11.45, weren't we, at the fuse? Oh, for fuck's sake, stay up there, you bastard. There we go. 11.45 at the fuse. Here you see we're 11.5. So we've dropped a whole volt from the battery. Now, there's another live feed here. This is a purple and white, so purple with a white tracer. Right, this one's got 11.9 volts. So we dropped 0.1 of a volt, which I think is pretty acceptable in a 50-year-old loom. But there's something gone wrong with this circuit here. So quite why I am getting. In fact, let's just take the connector off and just test it on its own. There's no load on it. That's the other way of testing for high resistance. So I'll get 11.48 and 11.97. So we've lost half a volt on this cable somewhere. So I need to trace back and find out where this cable goes to. It might mean that I need to look at the terminals in the back of the fuse box, which is over there. You hear the clock is working on this as well. Now, interestingly, if I connect up, where's that pin gone? There's the pin. If I connect up the lights, and I think it was the yellow one was the, yes, the yellow one. So I obviously don't want to connect live to live. So connect the yellow one up to, we get pretty bright lights on this thing. And you can see the lights in daylight, let alone at night. So let me, if I get myself organised, the lights are on, put it onto side lights. Again, just check the baseline. So on side lights, bearing in mind the battery, oh, now I'm suddenly getting 12.19, and on the other one I'm getting 11.86. Might actually just clean the fuse holder up, because when the load comes off it, the voltage goes up. So we're just on side lights now, no dip lights. Now I know these things are challenged when it comes to electrics. So 11.5 volts on that circuit with the lights on, 11.85, which would be acceptable on side lights. And then on this one, I'm now getting 12.2, which if I go back and baseline against the battery, which I'm just going to do now, and I'll shout it out to you. Just side lights on. 12.24. 12.24 at the battery and 12.22 on this purple with white tracer wire, which I don't know what it is there for. 12.22, and on the live feed for the lights I'm getting, so we're still talking 0.3 of a volt drop, which is higher than I would expect. So I think next I am going to look at the fuse. Come with me. Oh, on to my coffee. I'm going to need my coffee. Oh, there it is. I can see. Found the coffee. Right, let's go back over here again. That's what we'll do. Turn the lighting of light fix off. Balance you back again on here. Tripod there. Now, so just to recap, we've got this one here, side and tail lights. Okay, headlights main beam, headlights main beam, headlight dip beam, and dip beam. So we need to check all of these really. So side and tail lights is number 4. Let's pop him out. Main beam. I don't know what 8 and 9 is. Must be the radio feed. Just pop them all out. It's a lot easier to if you just pop them out at the top, rather than putting your screwdriver in and levering against the glass, because that just is not very clever. 1, 2, 3, and that one. What we'll do is we'll go down, check each one of these. So fuse comes 8. Really what I'm looking for here is that it's got the correct rating on it. I'll double check that in a second. That the end caps aren't loose. I've had these before now, cheaper varieties. These ones are proper Lucas, look at that. I've had these where the solder has melted on the end and it's kind of had an intermittent connection. Actually, one of those was on my Dash Range Rover. That's exactly what that was. That was a 25 amp. Now, see, that one turns. I'm inclined not to trust that one, because the end caps are turning, and we might have actually, started to degrade the wire. That was fuse number 11, which is the main beam 1. Then we've got main beam 2, which is a higher rating. Again, that was turning. I'll double check continuity through them while I'm turning them. We've got 5 amp. Fuck. 5 amp for the dip beam and 35 amp for the dip beam. I think what we've got here is we've got a right bloody catalogue of fuses in here. I'm going to find out what the fuse rating should be. It'll be in the manual. We'll go through and just double check them all. Right, we've got a right old hodgepodge of fuses in here. So a couple of 50 amp fuses, shits and giggles. I don't know why you wouldn't have used a nail. Nothing in this car is rated to 50 amp on a blow rating. I've got a bag of 17.5 amp, 35 amp blow rating fuses, which will basically suit the battery control and the ignition control. However, we're very, very lacking on the 25, 10 and 5 amp fuses, so I have to get some of those in. Everything else, so basically every single fuse in this thing is more or less a 17 amp fuse. Now, I don't like that. I think that's really, really kind of quite dangerous. Now, if you've got a fuse that looks like that, see the really wide blade on it? Yeah? That's not a blow amp fuse, so that's probably rated at 35 amps. Constant, but the blow on that will probably be nearer 60 amps. I mean, someone will do the maths for me. I can't be bothered at the moment. But when you buy these and you put them in I was going to say there's no defence against ignorance, but unfortunately, when it comes to the book telling you need a 35 amp fuse, and you not realising that it needs a blow rated 35 amp fuse, not a constant or continuous rated 35 amp fuse, you end up putting something like that in there. And that just puts the loom at risk. So that's kind of the warning shot fired across the bow, so to speak. Every other fuse in here, you can see there's all just a couple of 50 amp fuses in there. There's a 5 amp fuse. Oh, we need the 5 amp fuse. No, we already put it in there because there's a 5 amp fuse for the parking lights. I'll need to get a couple of bags of fuses and leave one with the customer. These are the 2. That was battery control battery control and the ignition control fuses have both started to burn out. You see there? Now that may well have been down to the spark you saw on the dashboard earlier in this video. No crap. Right. I'll order up some correct fuses, but I think what I'm going to do next is I am now going to retest the circuit. If this is still not working, having cleaned up the blades, cleaned up, put the fuses in, blah 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 blah, then I need to look at the terminals on the back of the fuse board. So the easiest way to get into the fuse board is via the glove box, and you can see all the connectors at the back there. So I can see here the red and green wire that goes into the bottom of fuse 4, and I can see the red and black wire that comes out of fuse 4. I'm checking the voltages all over the place. I've got it absolutely as good as it's going to get. Let me just, because I've just been fiddling around with cables, I'll reconnect the battery, turn the lights off, turn the workshop lights off, and see where we're at now. And I think really the next step is going to have to be with the engine running and more than 12 volts going through the system. I'll give the battery a little boost anyway. It's gone dark. There's the torch. Right, okie dokie. Torch in the yard. Oh, put it on sides. There we are. So on sides. Fucking light in my face. I don't know if you can see those or not. Can you see them? They're brighter than they were. We've still got the situation, this fucking tripod keeps banging into me, we've still got the situation whereby when I dim them right down, they're way dimmer than they are on my car, but at least now they're all on. I think that's better than it ever has been, to be honest. I'm going to leave it at that. Now, interestingly, the footwell lights come on, which is the next thing I need to start looking at in here. I'm going to stop pissing around now with dashboard lights. I'm going to screw the steering column back up. I'm going to leave the steering nacelle off for the time being until we've actually got the engine up and running, because I want to just double check a few bits and bobs while I'm at it. Lights, ba-ding. There we go. Unnecessary swearing, Richard. Right, so it seems to be a step forwards. I think it is anyway. Do while this dash was out, as I pulled the inner cable out of the speedo, but it's shocking. It's just dammed up. So I'm rather hoping if I clean this thing off, the only real solvent I've got here is meths. So just put a bit on the cloth there. That's clean, yeah. It's normally the ends that suffer the most. And I think that the cable is probably just getting a bit sticky inside the housing, because there's no kinks or anything on it. Essentially it's a giant expansion spring, this thing. Very, very wobbly expansion spring. And you don't want to stretch it, but there's no kinks on it anywhere. And that would cause it to go berserk. I think it's all right. The end's in good order. It's a nice square end on it. That's all right. I'm going to lock that back in. I will just put a dash of lube in the end of the cable, so when this cable goes in, it just takes a little bit of silicone lubricant down with it. I don't want to actually leave it swimming, because then the problem is, because of the orientation of the cable and the way it turns, it actually feeds the oil straight up to the back of the speedo. It's bloody useless, you don't want it up there. So, inside this speedo outer, and there's loads of crap in here. It's like someone's put grease in it or something. A squirt feeds the gearbox end of the cable
into the hole. Goes in nicely. Just see, oh, there's a tight spot there. It's probably just as it goes around, because it goes around quite a tight corner. A couple of them, in fact. It's also a long way the way in now. And then we're just rotating it as we push it down towards the gearbox end. And really, I just want to feel it going into the gearbox. Let's take it out, back in again. Because you'll feel the square peg goes into. You have to rotate it around until it decides it's going to go in. I think that is it actually. Yeah, because it's springing back on me. When I turn it, it springs back.